So do you think it has to involve x? The formula actually has to involve x every time? Really doesn't matter what the unknown is. If it's in the form of a degree 2 polynomial equation, doesn't matter what the unknown is. So can you identify A, B, and C for me? A is 5, B is 12, and C is -1. In other words, it's already set equal to 0, so it's really easy to identify A, B, and C in this one. Write down the quadratic formula. In this case, y is going to be equal to the opposite of b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac. And don't forget the division bar extends underneath the negative b as well. All over 2a. Okay, let's fill it in. What do we get? Now, this time it's y equals what? What's the opposite of b? What's the opposite of b? -12 plus or minus square root 12 squared, right? Which is 144. If you wanted to go right to 144, I'd have no problem with that. I'm going to start doing that very quickly. So 12 squared is 144, or just 12 squared for this step. Minus, so that's the b squared part. So minus 4 times a times c. What's a? 5. What's c? It's very important you put in the -1 this time, right? Because that changes the sign on things. And then all over 2a, 2 times 5. Does everybody agree with that? Any issues? Okay, so -12 plus or minus, let's simplify the radical. 12 squared is 144. And what's this going to become? So 144 plus 20. You got to be very careful. It's really easy to make a mistake with the negative right there. All over what? All over 2 times 5 is 10. So we get -12 plus or minus root. What's the root here? 164 all over 10. We better take that 164, that root 164, and simplify it. I'll do a little factor tree on that one. 164, what do you think? Two numbers that multiply together to make 164? 2 and 82 maybe? Which would, and then I think I heard a 41, yeah, because 82 is 2 times 41. So 164 is 2 squared, or 4 times 41. So how does this root simplify? We could rewrite it as, we could pull out a square root of 2 squared, which is 2, right? So it'd be -12 plus or minus, the root would be what? 2. The square root of 4 is 2, and then root 41 is left over. All over 10. And then we'll use the same trick as before. This is kind of a boring problem because it's not much different than the one we just looked at. What can we factor out up top? A 2, what's left? -6 plus or minus root 41 all over 10. Oh, it's a little bit different because the denominator is not going to disappear this time. So what happens when we cancel out the 2 with the factor of 2 and the 10? What's left in the denominator? 2/10 is really 1/5, so we get -6 plus or minus root 41 over 5. So y is equal to -6 plus or minus root 41 over 5.